So how are you doing?
Good. I can't complain. I mean, I'm working on Dictator stuff and new RTB stuff. The Dictators are going to be playing this Sunday at the Metal Hall induction in New Jersey, and we're playing like 4 acoustic tunes, believe it or not, and we're not playing electric. And it's crazy, but it's the only way we could do it because of the production and everything. So my friend is, we're bringing in a little PA, and it's going to be great.
Cool. And you're debuting with the new guitarist, I think, right?
Yes, we are.
Cool. So I'm looking forward to see who it is.
Okay.
So maybe we can start with what happened a couple of days ago, just to make that clear. So
I would like to.
Okay,
you'll get the first. You'll get the first one.
First one, yeah. So yeah, there's this interview which went online. Some website picked up some things that you said about Manowar, and as you were telling me the other day, probably you were just tired that words didn't come out right, and you wanted to make clear that that's not how you actually feel about the band.
Okay, so let me say right from the start, it came out of my mouth, and I take full responsibility for what I said. Okay, but I usually edit all my interviews. Like the journalist will send it back to me, because Jason Green is a good guy, and he said, "All right, we'll send it back to you, and we'll go over it, because you never know. You want it to go out to the public." So for some reason, I never did that. Okay, in this situation with that interview, I know part 1 I did. There's 2 parts of the interview. Part 1 I did, and part 2 I didn't for some reason. Now, if I would have saw that, do you think I would have let that out?
Of course not.
No. I mean, but something, people say things when sometimes they just say things, and I definitely said that. Let's just say Manowar's music now is different. Okay, I'm not going to say what I said. Okay, I'm just going to call it different. Okay, it's different from my 6 records, the band that was playing when I was in the band. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. As far as my attack on Mr. DeMeo, well, that's my business with him, and I aired it, and I shouldn't have aired it, calling him the S-bag word, and it was quite unprofessional of me, and I violated my own rule. My own rule being, I always knew this. My father told me when I first started, God rest his soul, he goes, "Ross, if you don't have anything good to say about someone, don't say it. You'll do better in life, right? If I didn't have anything good to say, I shouldn't have said it, and it was unprofessional of me. You know what I mean? I still think that Manowar is different, and I have my issues with Joey. But as far as everything else, I do apologize for my unprofessionality."
Okay, thank you very much. And now I listened to Jason's interview, and it's a very interesting summary of your time in Manowar. And starting from that, I'd like to elaborate on a few things that you touched upon with him. Starting from the very beginning of Manowar's history, you were telling him how you wrote a few songs together, and then you invited the A&R of EMI Liberty to listen to them. He was blown away, and it was just 2 of you.
Okay.
No worries.
I'm so sorry. I'm at my place.
Yeah, no worries.
Cage baseball. When you want to come? Okay. No problem. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No worries. So we're saying you invited the guy, he listened to your music, it's just guitar and bass, but he's already blown away by what you had. And and soon after you were joined by Eric Adams, who of course is an amazing singer, is considered one of the probably most talented guys in metal, most talented singers in metal.
Yes.
And of course, he also had a part in the band's success. So you didn't talk too much about that, but how did you get to find him?
Well, first of all, my wife at the time, Jane, had a friend, Gene, her best friend Gene, was going out with Bob Curry, who was the head of A&R. Okay, and they finally got married. But so Bob Curry, I would go to Bob, to dinner with them. It was me and Jane and Gene and Bob. So I became very good friends before this whole thing went down. I was very good friends with Bob Curry, who was the head of EMI and Liberty in New York City. So, and then I had a show at with Shakin' Street at the Boardwalk at Asbury Park. Okay, when the interest really started in me, and Bob saw me play with Shakin' Street, and the first thing he told me, he goes, "I'm going to do a project with you one day. I am going to do, like, how these A&R guys, I am going to do a project. We're going to do a project together one day." Now, little did he know what that project was going to be, but and then as Shakin' Street went to England, Shakin' Street opening for Black Sabbath, and I'm standing on stage finishing sound check, and the story is legendary. Ronnie Dio comes up to me and starts talking and say, "Ross, I love your guitar playing, blah blah blah. I love New York bands. I know CBGBs. I know all the, he knew everything. He's very astute, this very smart, genial man, Ronnie Dio. And he'd come up to me, sweetest guy in the world. The kind of guy you just want to like hug him and just, he's so beautiful inside and out, And so he goes, "I got this guy on my crew. His name's Joey. He plays bass, very, very unorthodox. You should meet him." I go, "Yes, sir." That's just Mr. Dio. So after, I put my guitar down. The show's about an hour away, stage time. I don't think it was in Manchester or Newcastle City Hall or one of those places. And I seek Joey out. And then I meet Joey and I go, "Ronnie told me to meet you. He said you play bass, blah, blah, blah." And I said, and he goes, "Yes." And he goes, and then we started talking about music. And turns out we had a lot of the same musical vision. We loved three-piece bands. We loved Black Sabbath, of course. We're there. They're playing on stage. Black Sabbath, Cream, Led Zeppelin, The Who, Jimi Hendrix, Grand Funk Railroad, all these great bands with three instruments and singing, and we said that, and then, all right, then that night finished, then the next night of the tour, I go, "You want to jam? Let's jam." I said, "Where are we going to jam? How about Black Sabbath's dressing room when they're on?" So I had my guitar. We're on tour, but Joey didn't have a bass. He says, "Well, why don't you borrow Geezer's spare bass?" So he borrowed Geezer's spare bass, and Black Sabbath's on stage, and Joey and I are in the dressing room with their practice amps. I'll never forget it. And we're blasting away. We started, how about this idea? And how about that idea? And how about this and that? And we started jamming on these ideas, the early things that would be Manowar songs. And like Black Sabbath would stop a song, boom, and then they'd hear us upstairs in the dressing rooms, in the audience, and they would look up. Geezer and Tony and Ronnie would look, "Fucking hell, what the fuck is going on?" And then Ronnie would go, "That's just Ross and Joey." And then we go, "Oh, okay." They were so nice. They go, "Oh, it's okay, no problem." So it proceeded along the tour, and then we finally made up that I was going to leave Shakin' Street, and me and him would form a band, go off the road, and we went back to the United States. And the last tour, my last show at Shakin' Street was Aloha Stadium in Hawaii. Aloha Stadium was my last show. It was fly back, but Joey and I had a friend. We named him my replacement because we didn't want to hurt anyone. We didn't want to hurt my manager, Sandy Perlman, who had managed Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, and Shaken Street. So no, I don't want any damage. So we left like I asked permission. I'm going. Here's my replacement. He's a very good guitar player. His name was Duck McDonald. Excellent guitar player, and he wound up playing in Blue Cheer and a number of other things. A great guy. And we went off the road, Black Sabbath, and amazing about that show, it was Vinny Appice's first show with Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
Vinny Appice's first show, and Tony was really nervous. He was the first new drummer he ever played with. I mean, since Bill. I mean, you know. So Vinny Appice's first show with Sabbath, my last show with Shaken Street. Went off the road, back to Mount Vernon, New York, in Westchester, to my house. Joey was living with us, me and my wife, and we started writing songs.
Mm-hmm.
I think we wrote Shell Shock and Gates of Valhalla and then some other stuff. And so we were forming the, you know, and then I get a demo budget from Curry, Bob Curry. Went up to Joey's land. Joey's part of Auburn, Western New York, and then we got Carl Kennedy from the Rods to play drums, and you know, we got Eric. Well, he wasn't Eric then. He was Louis Murillo.
Mm-hmm.
Louis Murillo. We got Louis Murillo, Carl Kennedy, me, and Joey into the studio for our first demo. And that was the demo basically that got us signed to EMI.
Great.
And then I go to Eric, I go to Louis, that you can't have that name. That's no good. I said, I think you should be this Eric. His two sons are Eric and Adam. So I think you should be. I said, Louis, brother, I think you should be Eric Adams.
Wow.
That's how Eric Adams came to be.
Nice. And how did you find him? Did you know his band or something?
He was a local in Joey's town, Auburn. Eric had a band called The Kids. You know, he was a local legend, Eric. You know, great. I mean, everyone knew him. And Joey said, this guy can do it. But we had a little problem with Eric and in the beginning, because Joey said, we would tell him, you got to scream. And Eric was afraid to hurt his voice. And Joey says, well, if you don't scream, you have no career. So just listen to us. You know, and Joey was basically his vocal coach in the studio. And I got to hand it to him, you know. Joey was able to get the best out of Eric, you know, with all our prodding, you know. How about this? You know, so Eric became Eric Adams.
Yeah,
he became Eric Adams in the studio. Thank God he did. I mean, obviously he's one of the most gifted singers in the world. So that's the story of the beginning. So, and then EMI signed us, and the rest is history.
So my next question is the running theme of the band, so to say, that a band of warriors, uncompromising, and everything was pretty clear from the start. And I was looking here at Battle Hymn. It says here, all weapons constructed and maintained by the genius of Dog Sound. So the instruments are weapons already from the very beginning. So who came up with this idea? Was it you, Joy? Was it a shared kind of thing?
Well, his name is John. He was John Stillwell, and everyone called him Doc, D-A-W-K. The guy was like a genius, big guy, big lovable guy. He's a genius guy. He's like a Les Paul, like a Leo Fender kind of guy, just incredibly talented with equipment. His wiring, he would modify Marshalls. As a matter of fact, the first thing that he did, obviously, well, he did a lot of things. He modified a Marshall head for Tony Iommi, and before that, Sabbath Tony never had a really amazingly distinctive sound. He had an original sound, but once the sound on Heaven and Hell was, if you listen, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Tony's guitar sound, and that's the first Marshall head that Doc customized and did for Tony. And when I signed with EMI, he did 7 of them for me. I bought 7 heads, 12 bottoms. I bought so much equipment that first day that we signed and got the check. And then Joey bought his semi worth of equipment. So Doc is really great. He was the first guy that knew how to take a Hammond B3 out of its case, shock mount it, all the wires, you know how many wires are in the back of those Hammond B3s. I mean, he would shock mount. He did one for Springsteen. He did all this work for all these people, and he's a legend. Doc knew every bit of gear that we had. All our guitars were rewired. My Marshall heads were rewired, and so I could link them all together. My bottoms, the Marshall bottoms were had insulation, rewiring with extra special wire and extra special stuff, all the Joey stuff, all our flight cases. We had a huge flight case order. All our flight cases were double knotted. Every piece of gear that we used, Doc worked on.
Mm.
And so that's why all weapons.
Now, my question was more about the term weapons and in general the theme of the band as warriors. Where that came from? Who had the idea to have this sort of...
Okay. The image of the band you're talking about?
Yeah.
The image it came from us. It came from Joey and I. I mean, I'm a super history buff. I love history. I'm insane with history. I'm insane with the Third Reich. I'm insane with Vikings. I'm insane with Greek history, Spartan. I mean, all that stuff. And Joey as well. We were all fascinated with that stuff. And, you know, we were trying to find the name. Oh, the name, Manowar. It took us a while to get that. And, you know, we had a couple of names for the band, and it never, you know, it's kind of like the hardest, you know, and it was the hardest to come up with Manowar. And the thing about it was, the guy who did it, like, I'll tell you, we're thinking of, like, how about ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missiles? How about Pax Romano? How about, no, that's not, it's good, but not that good. How about this and that? And then Doc goes, we're in the room, swear to God. Doc goes, well, how about Manowar? And then Joey and I, we look at each other and like, that's it. That's the name of the band. It's Manowar.
So it's Doc.
It was Doc. That's right. It was Doc that thought of it. Just came out of his fucking mouth. They go, oh, how about Manowar? Nice. It was like a sledgehammer hit Joey and I over the head with it. It was like, oh, that's it. That's the name of the band. That's how we came. And then, you know, swords. That was Doc's. Those were real swords. We had ordered with bloodletting grooves. You know, the whole thing was real, and we were real. It wasn't a bullshit act. You know, we were fully into it. You know, and you know, we believe that everything in life is a battle. Everything life is a battle we had to go through to this day. Now look what's happening. But everything is a battle in life, and you have to strive to better yourself and to prepare yourself and to overcome obstacles and to make yourself a better person every day and be kinder to people and be harsher to your enemies. You know what I'm saying? So, Manowar, we're all Manowars, I believe.
Yeah. So we move a few years to 1984, and you released 2 albums that year, much loved by your fans, very influential to the genre. Hail to England in July and Sign of the Hammer in October. And in today's music industry, that would be madness, releasing 2 albums in less than half a year. But what happened then? Were you just so prolific that you wanted to release this music?
Well, we always, whenever we had a recording session, even in the first record, we recorded extra music. We always had extra tracks that we recorded. We always recorded more than we need. And we recorded more than we need in Florida in the Battle Hymn session. We recorded more than we needed in Phase 1 in Toronto when we recorded Hail to England. We had more. So then when it was time, all of a sudden, Music for Nations, we weren't, you know, like, we had interest from Virgin, 10 Virgin records. We signed with Virgin, 10 Virgin. So for the Sign of the Hammer, and we had extra songs. And the 2 songs that we recorded for that record off the bat was Sign of the Hammer, and I think something else, Mountains, I think. Yeah, I think we had everything else from the other sessions. Okay. So we were very prolific back then.
Yeah.
Right. After Sign of the Hammer, we went on to sign with Atlantic Records.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, with Jason Flom, great guy. His father was a very, very important lawyer in New York City. Joe Flom, Jason Flom signed us. He also signed Twisted Sister. He signed a bunch of bands, Zebra. You know, Jason was a really cool guy, loved to party. And so we were signed to Atlantic Records, and we got Eddie Kramer, the incredible, legendary Eddie Kramer. He was going to produce.
He did Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin, Joe Cocker. Course, I mean, yeah. Everybody. You know, Humble Pie. His list was incredibly. Frank Zappa. I mean, Eddie worked with everyone. The Woodstock record. I mean, Eddie Kramer was a genius, right? But he worked with us for the pre-production. He didn't produce the record. For some reason, he was having problems with his wife, some mental problems, some mental issues. And Joey and I goes, this guy is not going to be ready. He's not going to be able to produce the record. But he was brilliant. He was brilliant with the demo we did. The demo we did for Atlantic that got us signed. It was Carry On and Blow Your Speakers. We recorded this with the demo, and I thought Edwin was he was brilliant with his arrangements and stuff like that. But when it came down to getting in this, I think he was just burnt out from recording at that time. I don't know where he was after that. I'm sure he went back to recording, but I mean, he was a lovely man to work with, a lovely guy, Eddie Kramer, and he helped us greatly with getting us signed to Atlantic.
Cool. So yeah, what I wanted to get to is few years later, when you were fired by Joy, I was wondering if there were any signs of that, or if it was like a complete surprise to you.
Well, you know, we had our arguments. I remember we had a pretty big argument in England at the time over something, you know, something so trite and so bullshit. You know, it's like all of a sudden Joey is trying to tell me what to say and what to wear. He's trying to tell me what to wear, the jewelry I wear, trying to tell me about, you know, what not to say or what to say. But these people that I'm talking to are the same people I talked to for 4 records before Manowar even existed. The same people, Malcolm Dome, all these guys from Kerrang, were the same journalists I started talking to in '77 with the Dictator. We toured with Stranglers, and we were over there. And Dante Benuto, all these fine fellows. And, you know, no one's going to tell me what to wear. No one's going to tell me what to say to people. So that kind of like started it, you know. And I told him, you're not going to tell me what to do. Okay. No one tells me what to do. Sorry, buddy. You can tell everyone else. You can tell we're 50-50 partners in Manowar. You could tell everybody what you want. You can tell Eric. You can tell Scott. You can tell Doc. You can tell Paul Clark. You can tell everyone what they have to do. But when it comes to me, I'll always take suggestions, but you don't tell me what to do. Okay? My name is the boss for a reason. You know. I am an alpha male as well. You are too. I get that. I get it. But you know what? When it comes to telling me what to do and what to wear, and it was bullshit. It was crazy. It didn't have to be. You know, he was working himself up over nothing. Just concentrate on the music. That's all. We're doing good. Everything's working. We're doing good. What are you worried about? So I guess that threatened him, and then. But after Kings of Metal, right before it was released in October, calls me into the hotel in New York. Oh, I think we're going to have to part ways with you. I go, why? He didn't give me any. There was no reason. But I know the reasons.
Which is?
I said it in that other interview. I'm not going to
right.
get.
No, right. It's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same old reasons why people, why couples separate, why people separate over money, over this, over direction of the band, over what we say, the public image, over this, the image, all the same bullshit that drives bands apart and breaks bands up. So, right before the band's biggest record released, I'm out of the band. The founder is out of the fucking band. You know, I think that was the worst timing, the worst mistake ever for Manowar. I think it hurt them. I mean, that if I was there, that Kings of Metal tour would have been fucking unbelievable. It would have been a record setting. It would have been record setting. We would have been, you know where Metallica is now? We would have been there. We would have been Metallica. I truly believe that. I really believe it. I truly believe that. I think that it was a, you know, now is not the time to do this. Now is not the time to get rid of me. Get rid of me. Not a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say that, you know, and it's just, and the way it was done, it was very, I'm not even going to get into that. That's why my resentment, you know, and I mean, it hurt my family, it hurt me, and, you know, no one seemed to care. Well, you know what? What am I going to say?
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it was a blow to the fans. I think the fans to this day still can't take it. A lot of the old school fans, they still can't get over it. They can't believe it. Why then? Why not put the record out, do all the touring for a year and a half, then make a decision, part ways amicably, like men. It wasn't done amicably. It wasn't done like that. Okay, you're out. And David Schenkel's in. Okay, and who is this guy? Who's this fucking guy? Oh, he's the fastest guitar player in Chicago. What? What does that mean? Who cares if you play fast? You know, it was this whole thing. Everything was all of a sudden fast. Fast was it. Fast was it. But it isn't. It's good every now and then. You play, sure. I've always played fast in my life, but I play slow too. I play. I just play. I call it just playing. You do. If you do it, you do it. You know. So that was it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And at the point, you, from what I got from what you said to Jason in the other interview, you didn't really fight back too much, like in court or everything. You talked with lawyers who advised you not to get into that. Did you have already a sort of plan B laid out or an idea of what to do next?
Well, I mean, it was a time in my life that I was just, at one point, I was just so glad to get away because he turned, you know, he became something that I didn't know what it was. I mean, me and him, we were best friends. We were, you know, two forks in a can of tuna fish. That's what we were like. And, you know, all of a sudden, I mean, I lived with his house. His parents loved me. I was like a third brother in their household. I used to vacuum the house. I loved his parents. I loved Caroline. I loved Joe. And, you know, I mean, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I you know, all of a sudden, you know, and then I don't know. I had, you know, I was going out with with Judy, and then I just said, you know, I proposed to Judy, and we're going to get married. So we got married in 1989. And, you know, it was like, oh, and then the lies came out. Like, look, Ross is getting married and he wants to do this. He doesn't want to be in man. Lie number one. Lie number two. Ross wants to play the blues. I do want to play the blues because I'm a blues guitar player. I started out like that. I love the blues, and I'm going to make a blues record one of these days. But I didn't leave Manowar. First of all, I didn't leave Manowar because I wanted to play the blues. That's second lie. Okay. So all of this stuff was coming out. He was telling people, and that's completely not true.
Mm-hmm.
Completely not true. It was his decision to put me out of Manowar, and then Eric and Scott. Oh yeah, it was right. I agree with you. You got it. You know, it was bullshit. It was railroading, and big worst decision made ever in rock and roll. I think Mick Taylor leaving the Rolling Stones is like a bad decision.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't quit the Rolling Stones. Maybe they're doing too many drugs for you. I mean, you're doing drugs, but they're doing too many. He said they're doing too many drugs, but you're doing drugs too. I mean, I mean, you know, it's the time of that, you know. And but me leaving Manowar then, at that critical time in the band was a knife. It was a dagger. I truly believe it would have been so glorious to do that tour. When I think about it, we was set up, all the work, all the heavy work, all the heavy load was carried. You know, it was all ready. You know, heavy lifting, all the heavy lifting on guitar, I did. Okay, so it was all. I can't believe it. What a waste. What a waste it was.
And all that happened with Joy. I was wondering what was your relationship like with Eric and Scott after that?
Scott, I mean, after that, I mean, Eric was like turned. I mean, Joey was like, you know, Eric was like always like, because they lived in the same town, always, counting on Joey for money, but it was my money too. The fact that I wasn't taking any money from the band, going back to in New York City, I always had a job. I was working construction. I was always busy. I supported myself in Manowar. So the money, all the money that we had went to Scott and Eric, because they were our employee. They were our responsibility, So but Eric, and then I was friends with Scott, really friends with Scott. Me and Scott bonded the most, and I truly loved him. And after all that happened to him, he got back to me. As you know, I had him play with my band those dates, and I was there at the end. And his wife called me to tell me, "Oh, Scott just hung himself," And what do I do? Well, don't drag him down. That's for sure. Don't pull him down. Stupid. I was the first one she called. And what a piece of fucking work she was, that woman. She's dead now, too. Yeah, she was a junkie, too. And it's like Sid and Nancy. Scott and his wife. And I'll never forget that. I mean, it just drives me to tears. Just give me a couple of drinks and I start crying. If I think about it,
Yeah, I mean, really tragic.
I mean, I just couldn't get over it. I just couldn't get over it, and I didn't live there, and he could have been helped. He could have been helped a lot more than he was helped. So I had my own issue. That's another story. So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that whole fucking thing. But I miss Scott. I loved him dearly. And his last show, he played Bloodstock with us, with the RTB band, the German band, the German guys. He played the last show that Scott Columbus ever played in his life was Jarro Metalli in Finland. It was his last show, and he was great that night. I mean, we played in Cyprus. He was drunk out. He couldn't fucking play in Cyprus. It was just a complete mess. He just knocked his drums over, and Matzi could, we're just looking at what the fuck's going on. Hold on. So Jarro Metalli in Finland was the last show, and he played he was amazing. He was amazing. So I want everybody to know that his last show, Scott Columbus's last show, he was incredibly great. He went out like a man, like a fucking true warrior. Whatever happened to him in his mind to do what he did, his last show was fantastic.
It's great to hear. So, so of course, after you parted ways with the band for many years, you didn't have anything to do with them, and then the Earthshaker happened, and I was wondering, were there any kind of talks of doing anything beside that, or was it just you get there, you play, and it's over?
Yeah, I think there was a rumor that someone in Manowar wanted me to join the band again, fire the existing guitar player. It's just a rumor, but I don't know. Never happened. So it was fun. It was fun to go there. I still had my anger, but that's the way I am. I'm not I didn't go through life to live with all this anger. You know, I didn't pick up my guitar as a young kid in the Bronx, becoming a blues guitar player, to be angry all the time at shit. You know, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You know, see, I still have all my hair. See, no, I'm sorry, but it's all on my head because I'm a happy person. I'm content with who I am and what I've done. So, you know, my 60 plus records talk for itself. Okay, my output, it's there, you know, but it was great to do it and to see the fans love. And it's still out there, believe me.
Yeah. So, final question about Manowar, then we can talk about something else. But 3 years ago, their guitarist was arrested, awful allegation of possessing child pornography. And as it always happens when a band is much loved like Manowar, many fans started hoping that you'd come back to the band. And when you heard the news, did you think that they might call you back? Did you think maybe you'd get in touch with them, or was it like it's none of my business anymore?
All of above. I mean, everyone's saying he's going to call you. He's going to call you. He's going to call you. He'll never call me. He'll never call me because then he'd have to admit what he did was wrong to the world, having me back. But I was shocked with Carl. I really was. I was, you know, we were all shocked. I mean, and I hope they didn't know about it before they got busted, before Carl got. I hope. No one knew about that, but I don't know. I'm not saying they did. Probably not. But I mean, it's just what Carl. It's sickness. It's terrible. It's a sickness. It's a sickness, and he's paying for it. He's paying for it.
So after 89, we were saying you got fired, and you did a lot of different things. In 1990, you joined Manitoba's Wild Kingdom. Then you played again with the Dictators, the Spinatras, Death Dealer, of course, RTB, and a lot of other bands. Yeah, exactly. So first of all, my question is, what would you suggest to listen of your huge discography to someone who didn't follow you after Manowar?
Well, there's a lot of things that I really I don't know. It's hard to get, but the Heyday album is people think it's a tremendous blues rock record, kind of, you know, blues tinged record. Spinatra's record is kind of like the Ramones meet the Cheap Trick, right? And those mostly my songs. I would say 9 out of 10 of those are my songs. And so's Heyday. So I was the main writer on all those records. Then, you know, the Dictators would start playing, and we did We'll Save Rock and Roll, that record. DFFD, it's called. And 96 started touring Europe again a lot. It became monster huge in Spain. The Dictators, monstrously huge in Spain. And kept going. Just kept going. My son was born in 91, Jesse. And I kept putting things out. Death Dealer came. Death Dealer didn't come until, let's see, Earthshaker was 2005. Right? So,
yeah.
So I got the AFM contract with the Roster Boss Band in 2007. So we put out New Metal Leader in 2008. New Metal Leader. And then we did Hailstorm in 2010. Then Death Dealer came in 2012. I joined Death Dealer with Stu Marshall from Australia, Sean Peck, Cage, the other guys, and Steve Bolanay. That's where I met my current drummer. And so I kept putting records out. I continually put records out. The Dictators were recording, Dictators were touring, and then so the end of the 2010. So then the Dictators NYC stopped playing 3 years ago, right? And then we had the Dictators we changed our personnel. The new Dictators, we have Albert Bouchard, who's the original drummer from Blue Oyster Cult. He's our drummer now, and we're gonna debut our new guitar player this Sunday. at the Metal Hall. I was 2017. I was in the first ballot of the Metal Hall, which was a tremendous, great honor to me. Okay, to be with Randy Rhoads and all these other people. Yes, I mean it was a great honor to be in that first class of the Metal Hall. It really was, and it's come a long way. And so I'll be there Sunday with my dictators and with the people there and with the owners of the Metal Hall. And I was given the Ambassador of Heavy Metal Award on stage at Wacken in front of 110,000 people, which was a tremendous honor. It was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. I've been to Wacken. I know it's like it's.
Can you see that?
Right. Yeah. I wasn't there that year, but I've been there, and I know it's incredible.
That's me in the video screens.
Yeah.
So it was we were on the harder stage, and it was just an amazing. It was after our set, and I was given the award, the Medal Ambassador, and it was such an honor for me. And I don't know. So lead us to now. We were supposed to. I put out by Blood Sworn in 2018. Then we turned around. RTB Band. We made Born of Fire, which is an incredible record. Born of Fire is 2020. It came out March 6, 2020. And we had a whole big tour in April with Burning Witches opening, bus tour. It was going to be fantastic. We played our last show on our American tour, February 24th, 2020. That was our last show, our U.S. show. We came off the road for a couple of weeks. They said, we're going to come off the road for a couple of weeks. Then we're going to go to Europe on our big tour. Guess what happened?
Of course, everything canceled. Yeah.
Shit show hit. So here we are. And, so we've been writing with our new RTB songs. Death Dealer, listen to this. Death Dealer recorded, we have put out the third record, Conquered Lands, right? But we have Death Dealer 4 and Death Dealer 5 recorded already.
Wow. That's
and the EP and the new EP. So we recorded 2 more records and the EP in all this downtime. Okay, and the Dictators got back together. We have two songs, 2 videos out. Goddamn New York, and Let's Get the Band Back Together. 2 songs and 2 videos out right now. You can see it. The third song's coming out on Sunday with our new video.
Great.
So I could safely say I've been busy.
Yeah.
plus I work here at my batting cage here 7 days a week, 70 hours a week. I'm a workaholic. That's all I do is work every single day, and that's what drives me. So, I have no complaints. I have this, thank God, because when the music stopped, there was no money.
Yeah.
Money dried up. The business went fucking dead. It's still on life support. And but thank God I have a business that I love to do here. I love baseball. I love sports. People come, they play cricket here, and baseball and softball. And as you can hear in the back, they're playing. So it's a great thing, and I consider myself a lucky man. I really do, and I consider myself. It's an honor to play music, no matter what happens to me, no matter what they did to me, or whatever the perception is. I feel that I'm honored.
Thank you very much. And you already answered my next question, which was what are you planning for the future? You already told me how many albums you're recording. You got this show coming up on Sunday, and hopefully you'll be able to tour again soon, also in Europe as well.
Yes. Oh, there's supposedly RTB dates in the US in December. Okay. I'll believe them when I see it with this scamdemic going on. My tour in Russia, it's 15 dates with playing with local orchestras. It's not the whole Ross the Boss band. It's just me and Mark Lopes and Uli Roth and 1 second. I'm sorry. So yeah, the Russian thing is 15 shows, playing all these places. I don't know whether you could see it or not.
Yeah, I've seen the poster this morning. Yeah, I was looking
Right,
at
so
that. Like, it's
so it's
amazing.
me and Mark playing with the local orchestras, Uli Roth, I don't know who's going to do the singing, Graham Bonnet, Marco Mendoza, Doogie White. So we're going to do like 15 shows like Moscow, Kharkiv, Ukraine, Minsk, Belarus, St. Petersburg, like Essentuki, Novorossiysk,
Yeah, all
Krasnodar,
Eastern Europe.
Rostov-on-Don. Shit, I can't even pronounce. These towns I've never been to and I can't even pronounce. So that's March. Then we have the Ross the Boss full band Italian tour, not a Spanish tour, Spanish tour, and then the big tour that got canceled 3 times is going to start in May, and that's going to lead us up to the festivals. We were supposed to do Sweden Rock for the past 3 years. So I have Sweden Rock, I have Big Gun in Russia, I have a show in. I mean, we got 2 shows in Greece coming, 2 festivals. So next year, hopefully, if everything goes, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be very, very busy next year. So let's hope.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
Gods of rock have to be kind.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, that was my last question. So, thank you very much for your time. It's been really nice to talk with you.
Now, I hope I cleared up a bunch of stuff, and I know there are a lot of Manowar fans that were shocked and surprised. But as again, I was unprofessional saying that. I didn't edit myself, but you know what? There are issues. So, you know, I said what I said from my heart, and that's why I go by it.